So I have some mats here. If anyone would like to come out, we can try some on-the-ground exercises. This is right out of the store Ross, and these are a whopping $8, so you can fix yourself up pretty reasonably. We'll just do a couple of demos, and then we'll call it an evening. Have any volunteers?
Fitness work. I nominate Pat.
Well, I'll give you one demo. So, you're familiar with these cats. These actually cost more than the mat. Isn't that amazing how they get us? So, 1978, my dad, who's built very much like I am, long in the back, thin person, he was a golfer, and then a car potato and a desk potato. So you can see what his lifestyle was. So very violent, one-sided move in golf, lots of stress on the knees and the hips and the back, and then sitting at a desk in a car, and then working around the farm that I grew up on. So his back went out in his late 30s. His back went out. And that's just when people didn't go to chiropractors on a maintenance basis, you got a little pain, you typically go to a doctor and they would typically give you medicine or even suggest surgery. This is just how it was, and it still is in some places today. But he met this older female nurse from one of the former Soviet bloc countries, and she bottom-lined him. She said, she saw his x-rays, and she said, "I've seen worse." And she said, "I'm going to show you some exercises. You do these exercises every day for the rest of your life. You may not need surgery," because surgery is a long shot. It's a long shot at a back surgery, and for many things, I shouldn't say for most, but for many things that it's going to work. So you do these exercises for all of this stuff that you don't think is something to do with your back, but as soon as I do that, my back has a little bit of a twinge. I can feel it. So I'm going to do this type of stuff. I'm stabilized down low. My pelvis is tilted forward, and I'm doing this. No problem, no problem. All of a sudden, if you haven't been doing these at all, you're going to feel your hamstring tell you that it's exhausted, and you almost feel like you're going to get a cramp. So talk about the activity in the back of the leg here. Now, if I were just to go out and stretch the hamstring, is that going to solve my back problems? You got to strengthen too. Most people that have carpal tunnel, they're taught, stretching exercises. What about the strength exercises? What about our great-grandparents who didn't have carpal tunnel and they're working with their hands all day? Why didn't they have carpal tunnel? There's diet, there's stress, there's a lot of things. But talk about an iron pot and a bucket and butchering a hog. Those are heavy-duty things that all of your arm and your wrist and your hands are going to have to engage in. Where we're on a laptop and a cell phone and we're going to do some stretches. Is that going to solve the problem? That's the thing. I don't think it's going to solve the problem. You have to strengthen as well as stretch, as well as get your inflammation down through natural ways, whether it's bombs that you put on, omega-3. You want your ratio of omega-3 to omega-6, 1 to 1. That's the latest. That could change tomorrow, but that's the latest information that's out there. And then you can be happy and grounded to the earth. So when I'm at the mission or at the Oak Park or at the beach in the sand, my left foot right now would be grounded to the earth. And so that voltage, that transfer of electrons from the ground, which is nature, to me is going to be the same. As soon as I do that, we're electric beings. You know about that. That's how all of our nerves fire. We have conductive material in our bloodstream. We have iron. And we have other molecules, and so we're conductive, and that's how we send all of our impulses to our muscles, is through electricity. And so here, I'm grounded to the earth, I'm doing these exercises. I normally have a pillow right here. I'll show you the pillow. So you can see, this is classic 1980s pillow, thrift store pillow, but it happened to be really nice, and it fits just perfectly for my neck, and so I love this pillow. If I go, if somebody could remember to put this in my casket, I'd appreciate it. I love this pillow. So there I am doing these things. That's number one, and these are all on that YouTube video that I'd be happy to show you. And then I could put the elastic band around here and create some resistance, or I could put a weight right here. I do both. So I'm going to go just this tiny little move. So you see any intensity in my face? I'm just breathing. I'm getting hip activity, lower back activity, and I'm out in nature and I'm breathing and I'm moving my blood around. So that's one, position A, and then position B, and then position C. And as I'm doing this, Jack LaLanne was famous for this, and he had a really strong face. I'm doing things that make people wonder if you've got Tourette's syndrome or something, but I'm doing, face exercises because I don't want to have Bell's palsy or something on my face. I want all this stuff to be happy, strong, and used. You have to use each muscle of your body. Does anybody know about Kegel exercises? Yeah. Somebody taught me about Kegel exercises 20 years ago, and they said, I know what you're going to do with these things. And I said, what? They said, you're going to do them every time you go to the bathroom. And I said, you're darn right I'm going to do them. I don't want to have my groin area age just because I'm getting older. I want to keep that area functional, right? So I've been doing those. So face, all of these things, and meditative. I'm looking at the color green, which is really good for our psychology. So I'm doing all these things, and it's a blessing. So those are just a couple of exercises. Those aren't hard. Those are not intense. If someone like Hesu, who's been a performance athlete, came out and we did all of our warm-up, which all of these things might take us an hour, hour and 10, he might go inverted. He might not need me to hold him up to do a few handstands and maybe try a few push-ups. Can you do a handstand push-up without? Yeah, he can do them without me holding him. So he might do some of those. And then I may have to go, hey, Hesu, you've got some incredible biomechanical strength. Have you seen this one? And then he would do that, the Spider-Man push-ups, and then I have to come up with something else because he's a performance athlete. So, but I may not be able to find something he couldn't do. Then I say, well, you got everything, teach me something. I don't want to be injured, but teach me something that I can work up to, and something that you think would be good for my biomechanics. So those are some of the things that I do. I don't use a lot of big, heavy gadgets. I think some of those can be wonderful, but I think the key for me and for the natural fitness plan that I'm on is being outdoors, breathing fresh air, doing it early. If the only time you can do it is at 12 o'clock on your lunch break, hallelujah, do it. If it's the only time is at night in the gym, do it, that's fine. I just think that the hunter-gatherers got up and the farmers got up before the sunrise and they went out and they started moving. And I think that's a blessing. And I think it gives you a good chance of having a low-stress day. I use martial arts belts. I put those over a bar, over a tree limb, and I do exercises that look like windsurfing, but they would be more like this. Those things are all in my upper back and arms. To grab the belt, I use these grippy gloves, those moving gloves. That's part of the exercise, pretty simple. I bring Tiger Balm with me, just in case of mosquitoes. If the mosquitoes are out, I take a vitamin B before I go out there, maybe half hour before. It hides your blood, and that's what the mosquitoes are looking for. So garlic does the same thing. Tiger Balm on the surface is good, but one vitamin B, the multivitamin B, and the bugs tend to stay away from you for a short period of time. I have these in my car, so each side of my spine and the arch of my lower back, I need stability. So if I were this big, I've seen people that are that big driving, they're very stiff in their car. They don't need what I need. I need stability. If they have a back problem, they might use this. But this is keeping my arch, and it's giving me acupressure, just like Dr. Hesu does with elbow thumb. And I do with a stick. These are giving me acupressure, and they're stabilizing me in a really crucial area. And then when I sleep, I have these there also. And I put 1, 2 here, and 2 here, and then I have my feet up about that high on 2 big couch-type pillows. So if anybody ever fallen asleep in the dentist chair, not when they were drilling, but while they went out and do some lab, molds and that type of things, anybody almost fallen asleep in a dentist? I think it's pretty comfortable, a dentist chair. And it's not the natural way to sleep. The natural way would be flat on a hard surface when when you go to a hard surface, your body softens. When you go to a soft surface, guess what your body does? It stiffens up. So not everyone can work with those. Some people are the princess and the pea where they need the softer, that's fine. But if you want to try, I mean, if you've ever been to a sleepover when you were 10 or 15, or last week fishing with a group of people and you slept on the floor and it was warm enough, you may have slept pretty darn well, so it's a miracle. That's the best way. My way is an adaptation because I don't sleep on the floor and I'm using these to stabilize myself and acupressure myself and keep an arch in there because I have what are known as biomechanical deficiencies, hips out of whack, and which puts the neck out of whack, etc. So I'm trying to do lots of things to stabilize and acupressure to alleviate that stuff. It's not perfect, but it's a pretty good adaptation. And at 52, I'm still doing pretty well for being stuck in a Gilligan body. Any questions?
That's awesome.
Thank you very much. What I do is I like to use these corners of,
Acupressure?
oh yeah. When I met my girlfriend, she thought I was trying to look cool, but I was actually just working my acupressure points.
So does anybody think that that would be something that they would like to learn more about, the acupressure? And actually go out in a park, and I put a big floppy hat on, and I sometimes have sunglasses on. Nobody knows who I am. I'm just that guy with a stick over there, and people are going, what is he doing? So if you want to learn that, you can come this Saturday, 2 days away, and if you don't want to do the yoga type stuff on the ground, we'll just do that afterwards. But when somebody taught me this, I said, that is so beautiful, because I was always getting injured in sports, and now I do this before the sports, and I did jiu-jitsu up until 2 years ago, so I was 50 when I retired, and I'm with 20-year-old behemoths. I wouldn't go with people over 200 at the end of my career, except just in the practice, like the learning the move stuff, but in full-on kind of combat type stuff with these people that are 180, 190, young 20-year-olds with a lot of testosterone. And how did I make it and they didn't? Well, I was using this for 30, 40 minutes before I went out there, because if I didn't, I would have been mangled, and I would have got, I have a tendency to get cramps in my hamstrings. And so those, I released all the hips, all the hamstrings, all the back, and the neck. And so when they started tweaking my neck, so Hesu does it with wellness in mind. These guys are doing it so that I tap out and give up, that kind of stuff. And so the way I lasted with those guys, besides diet, sleep, fitness, and focus, was that. That was the magic thing that allowed me to do it. And I do that before I go on an airport. If I'm going in the waiting room, I don't have that. I'll do what Hesu did with the wall. I'll do stretches, and I'll do what's kind of the mind acupressure. I'll just concentrate on that area, or I'll do some of the Japanese type of stimulation type things to move the energy around and release tension. So this Saturday, if you'd like to come, I'll shoot you an email and give you more information, but everyone knows where the Rose Garden is. That's where I'll be this Saturday, unless something comes out of the sky.